All right, everyone. Hi there. Excited to see you here. Hey, Alex. I'm super excited for today. Um, we're going to cover a lot. All right. So if you don't have a notebook yet, grab one now, grab some water. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Jennifer. I'm going to hit record and we're going to get started in a second. Oh, I'm already recording. Awesome. Yes, I have an amazing training lineup for you today. This is going to be quite in-depth, intense. I will also be doing live coaching at the end based on what we're going to talk about today. So stay on, make sure you're live here. And so you'll be able to jump on that because I'll have a conversation with you and do some hot seat coaching with you live today. So I'm super excited. I've got my candles behind me. I have ginger tea here. It says test it, tweak it, try again. And step into your CEO shoes. So that's my getting ready for an epic training start. So I'm going to share my screen and we are going to get started. Yes, the huge boss mug. I got the same mug for all of my masterminders. So that's been quite fun because several of their partners have stolen their mugs because it's like a good size to use for like a giant cup of coffee or tea. So yes, I'm excited. So if you're here live, welcome. I would love to hear a little bit about where you are from. So pop that into the comments. I'd love to know where you're from and why are you here today? Yeah. Tell me, why are you here today? We will be talking about 3 ways to micro launch your services. It's going to be split into 2 parts. The first part is the 3 keys to follow when you're selling anything. And then we're going to talk about 3 ways you can micro launch your services. So I'm super excited to dive in. I'm not really holding anything back here. So it's going to be an epic training. Amazing. We have the UK, Bristol, Amsterdam, London, and you're about to pivot. That's super exciting. Yes. Okay. France, England. Oh, you're such a fangirl of the CEO quest and you're drinking out of a massive Darth Vader mug. That's amazing. Bianca in the Netherlands. Learn to launch more without the hassle. Absolutely. Want to learn more about micro launching? Amazing. You're in the right place. So yes, I'm very excited to be here today. Let's see if my slides are working. Ooh. Missing a slide. That's okay. So yes, today the training is all about it. I talk about micro launching your services, but very honestly, you can use these same principles to sell anything. Today, I wanted to focus more on services and service providers because I think that's a bit of a gap here where I'll talk about this more in a second. And let me know if this resonates. I found that, when as a service provider with packages that are sitting always on your website, it can be really hard to have control of your revenue. Right? You're just waiting for clients to come. You're hoping you'll get a referral. And you're waiting. So this is, for me, I want to give you guys some tips and tactics to take back control of your revenue. So you would actually know what to do, what to say, and how to structure services that you can actually micro launch. I will be, for anyone who wants an opportunity to go deeper with this and take it to the next level, the doors to my program, the Micro Launch Method, are opening today, like right now. So, and there are some actually really cool fast action bonuses for the first 5 people who sign up. So I popped that link into the chat. It's maggiegill.com/microlaunch. But if this is not the right offer for you, I want to make sure you get a lot of value out of this training. It's something I so strongly believe in to help service providers to actually sell more of the services. So if you're not currently booked out, and if you are also not really happy or totally satisfied with the pipeline that you have, with the number of inquiries that are coming in, with the number of referrals that you're getting, then this is the training for you. And like I said, I'll be doing live coaching at the end as well. So stick around and because you'll be able to submit questions and I'm going to coach you or strategize with you, whatever you need on your offer based on this training. Cool. So today we're talking about creating a repeatable process to get more clients, more sales, and take control of your revenue. As always, my trainings are super interactive. I have the chat open here on my second screen, so feel free to pop in anything there. If you have specific questions, I will answer them at the end of this training. So please use the questions box in the webinar, not the chat box. So I'm to make sure I don't miss it. All right. Are we excited? Are we good to go? Yes, awesome. All right, so I'm Maggie. I'm an award-winning business and marketing strategist and the founder of the Microlaunch Method. My trademark registration literally came in on Friday. So currently it's the Microlaunch Method is now a registered trademark. I did have time to update the slides for my intro, but I'm very excited to share that with you all today. Thank you. It's a big step. I'm very excited that it happened. And it's like, how perfect is this timing? I got the certification on Friday, and Tuesday is my launch of the Microlaunch Method. All right, so today I'm walking you through, I'll be talking about pop-up offers. I'll explain what they are. I'll talk about how you can create, market, and sell these offers on demand to create a repeatable cash injection. All right, there's 3 things we're going to cover today. Why ongoing services may be working against you. 3 ways of refining your offers to micro-launch them. And 3 core concepts for every micro launch, my go-to keys when selling any kind of offer. So this training is basically split into 2 parts. I'm first going to talk about the 3 core concepts for any micro launch. That's something I've used over and over again to sell out international retreats within 2 weeks. I used it to sell out my mastermind using a Google document that I wrote in 20 minutes, and to sell higher end offers, premium offers, and so on. So you can, from anything between basically $37 and $4,000, I've used these same principles to sell. So you are in the right place if you are a service provider, or if you're not booked out and you want more control over your revenue. I will be mentioning more control over your revenue a couple times here, but what it really looks like is that you know what to do to make more money. All right, do you know what I mean with that? I feel like a lot of service providers, you do your marketing because someone says you should. So you're marketing and visible on Instagram, but you don't actually know what to do to get more clients. If like one example I just shared was one of my mentors came up with a retreat that she was doing, super limited spots, and it was $3,000. I'm like, well, I don't have $3,000 lying around. Crap, what can I do? So you need to know, and that could be like a retreat. That was a fun thing. It could be a down payment for your house. It could be extra medical bills. It could be something for your family, increasing your savings account, doesn't matter. But I want you to know what you can do to do that. All right. 2, you're ambitious, but you're unsure with how to move forward because there are a lot of options. So with this training, I also want to help you kind of figure out how to make those decisions better. 3, you're great at what you do, passionate about your work, and you want to impact more people. I'm also reading all the slides out as well as talking around them, because I know some people like to, cook while they listen to a training. So I want to make sure if that's you that you don't miss anything. And lastly, you want to develop your own go-to process you can turn to create more income. Like I said, when you want to create more income, you can do this thing and you know it's going to work for you. I want you to have this go-to method to use when you want to. You're in the wrong place if you're looking for the magic bullet for a multi-6-figure sustainable business. There is no magic bullet. It's hard work, it's testing, it's tweaking, and it's really figuring out what to do for you. So this is not a magic bullet. You're not like, if you use my method, you're suddenly going to have a 6-figure or multi-6-figure or whatever business. No, you need to put in the work. 2, if you don't sell services, group programs, or info products, if you sell physical products, I'm sure there's a lot of tactics you can take from this, but it's not geared towards something like physical products. But for anything that's service-based, that's group-based, memberships, info products, digital products, then this is good for you. 3, if you have no business concept yet, I fear that this training will be a bit too advanced for you if you don't know what direction you're going in. And lastly, if you want to go from 0 to $1 million in days, I kind of believe I should have played Hermione in the Harry Potter movies, and I still haven't forgiven Emma Watson for that, but I can't make actual magic happen like that. you see the outliers and you see the like crazy success stories, but that's not real life. I'm here to teach you good, solid tactics that you can think about, figure out, and decide which one's going to work for you. Cool. The problem with ongoing services. When I say ongoing, I mean the services, the packages that are always available on your website. I can buy them anytime. The problem with this is lack of control. Say I want to hire a web designer. How do I hire you? Like, how do you have a say in whether I hire you or not? Like, you really don't, unless you know me and then you reach out to me, you cold pitch me or follow up with me because we're in the same circles and I'm looking. That's one option. Otherwise, you're just increasing your own visibility and you hope that I see you and I remember you, right? But ultimately, that decision is mine. What if I forget who you are? What if something happens? What if I get distracted? You have very little control over whether I will hire you or not. Does that make sense? Okay. I have to I'm trying to remember to breathe and slow down and drink tea occasionally because of the last training I did. People said that they were so furiously taking notes. That's why they weren't even in the chat. So calming down today. Yes, good. That makes sense. It sounds like dating. Well, with dating, you can still reach out to someone, right? You can text them, like, hey, thinking of you, do you want to go out for a coffee? But with clients, like you have to wait for me to make that buying decision in my head. I guess it could be like dating. Like if we meet in a bar or something, then you don't know if I'm looking or not. I met my husband on a dating website. So we were both on there and we were both clearly looking. So that was easy. Wow, I'm literally the first person to admit we have no control of that hire. I mean, it's true. And like the thing is, you then get stuck waiting for referrals or inquiries. Yeah. And like, I don't want to be like, I'm not trying to fearmonger or anything, but this is just a fact. The fact is, if you have services and packages that are always available and always ready to buy on your website, you don't have control. There are things you can do, right? I think we're going to talk about that in the next slide, but this is for the people who are not booked out yet. Yeah. If you're booked out, that means your marketing is like working super well and you're booked out. Therefore, you don't have this problem, right? You may still want to do this because you want to move to one-to-many offers, or you want to launch your first group program or course, or move towards recurring revenue, whatever. But if you're not currently booked out and you're like, crap, like I would like more clients, but I'm not quite sure what to do. Partially, this could be due to having these services always sitting on your website, right? So there are things you can do, right? I'm not trying to fearmonger, like I'm not trying to do that, but the things you can do to increase that is limited, right? There's the visibility of posting again, giving value in Facebook groups, sending another newsletter, etc. You can follow up with referrals and past clients, or you're just waiting around. Alex is booked out. Amazing, congratulations. But still, I'd like to have more control over when to book people, and it would help me scale if I could have more control. Exactly. So in that stage of, okay, cool, I'm booked out, but that's not where I want to end. There's another level I want to go to, right? So I think there's a few tactics. I think the second tactic to talk about here, Alex, is going to be really good for you. So here we have the 3 clear core concepts. I told you the training split into 2. First, we're going to talk about the 3 core concepts for, micro launching, but also selling anything. And then I'll talk about the 3 ways you can micro launch services. So core concept 1, an ultra clear client. This is really, really important. I'm going to show you some examples as well of why. This does not mean necessarily doing ideal client day exercises. Like that's not what I'm about. This is about fact, right? The reason and having an ultra clear client is really important is that they can self-select, right? They can look at your stuff and go, that is me, she is talking to me, right? Sort of like what I did at the beginning of this training, like, hey, is this you? You are a good fit if you are this. You're not a good fit if you're this. So I'm helping you self-select in or out of this training. If you see that and you're like, this is not me, great, leave. Go do something more useful with your day, right? But if you read that and go, oh my God, that's me, then I know you're in the right place. So it's good for us both. So having an ultra clear client, your clients need to be able to see your messaging and self-select, right? You can use demographics and psychographics in your messaging. So demographics are quite straightforward. It's basically, your age, where you're from, how much money you make, like these tangible things. But I think what's a lot more important, a lot more interesting, especially for online-based businesses, especially for service providers, which is so intimate and emotional and trust-based and relationship-based, are psychographics. That's the stuff like what goes on in your client's head and what is their core desire? What do they actually want, right? This is like, I have an entire module on this in the micro launch method. So this is like an entire thing here. I'm just giving you like the clip notes here, but this is the core desire. And I actually have an example with this training. Some of you may have seen this on social media. The original title for this training was, what was it again? How to create a cash injection using pop-up services. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm so excited. And then I was like, the signups are kind of slow. This is a bit weird. So I started digging further and started asking questions. And I realized a lot of my audience saw that title and they already had objections. They're like, what's a pop-up offer? Do I have to create something new? That sounds difficult. I don't like the sound of a cash injection. It feels negative. So I had to change it, like a ninja tweak in there, test it, tweak it, try again, to the core desire, which here was, well, sell more of your services. It's that simple, right? And with micro launching, don't be afraid to go ultra specific. It's just for one offer and one micro launch, and you can test this, right? I tested the messaging in the first micro launch method run, which was in April. That went really well, but I also learned a couple things about who I wanted to focus on, because I think the micro launch method is amazing for service providers. It's amazing for premium services, for premium offers, and you can make so much money using this methodology. So I was testing the messaging as well. Yeah, and with this, because we're talking at a micro launch here, it's something that you're gonna do once, you test out, and if it gets good results, you do it again. The commitment to this is really low. I'll put it that way. The commitment to this is really low. Does that make sense? So if anyone has an ultra clear client in mind, or like one characteristic, let's go with one psychographic of your client, put that in the chat, please. So for me, a lot of my clients are ambitious service providers. So service providers are demographic. They're ambitious and they have a lot of ideas. Those are like two very clear psychographics that pretty much all of my clients have in common. Right. So I'm going to introduce you to Mariana now. Mariana is awesome. She's an instructional designer. And during her first micro launch, she made over $3,500 with her very first micro launch. Yeah. She's then used the same process to make over $7,000 with her VIP intensives. This is important because she's an instructional designer. This basically means she works with, well, people like me, I'm one of her clients, to help put together frameworks or map out the course. She's actually the instructional designer behind the micro launch method. She took all of my ideas and laid them out. So she has a very, very clear client in mind. She does not work with newbie entrepreneurs because they're not ready for this kind of work. Yeah. She usually works with people who are launching, maybe not even for the first time, a group program. So she has a very clear client in mind. She's super clear and ideal clients, established service-based entrepreneurs who want to move from one-to-one to one-to-many with a solid group program. And that's what she based her micro launch offer on, these kinds of people. Do you see how clear this is? It's really specific because this allows her clients, her audience, to self-select. Lorna, your clients want fulfillment through creative writing. Annie uses intuition in their work or private life. Bianca, they get distracted easily. Hello. Tracy, my client wants to achieve their goal of writing a book. Love that. Yes. So core concept number 2, having an ultra clear outcome. So we just talked about having an ultra clear client and why that's important. Now we're talking about ultra clear outcome. So What is the tangible transformation of your offer? That's my first question. What is the tangible transformation of your offer? For example, with a micro launch method, you will have a step-by-step plan you can customize to create, market, and launch a great irresistible offer in less than 4 weeks. Super clear transformation. You get a plan, you make money, it's fun, it's awesome, you can reuse it and make more money, right? So the transformation, getting tangible, is really clear and specific. Obviously, there's a lot of other tangibles and outcomes that can happen. A lot of my clients got booked on podcasts, on virtual summits because of their micro launches, got a lot more confident, did things for the first time like sales or running Facebook ads. But the core tangible transformation is what I just said. You learn how to get this framework and create, market, and sell an offer in under 4 weeks. Yes. Okay. Second, we have features, services, benefits versus value. So features are, let's say for the micro launch method, I would say, oh, it's a 4-week implementation container. That's a feature. You get 4 modules. That's another feature. There's 2 hours of core content. So it's really easy to fly through and get all the core content because I've kept it super simple. Those are all features, and that's top level. Then you have benefits. What are the benefits? You get this step-by-step framework so you don't get lost in all your ideas. You get weekly coaching with Maggie, therefore you get all this accountability. Those are the benefits, but what is the actual value, right? And for me, with using the micro launch method as an example, the value of that is very, very high because you can reuse this framework. You have the financial value and our return on investment of that, as well as the visibility and just the confidence of knowing what to do and how to sell your offer, right? So when you're working on your marketing, have that clear outcome in mind, but also look at the features, benefits, and value. And I say this because as the service provider or as the offer creator, we tend to get stuck in the features. We tend to focus on, you get 6 calls with me, right? You get email access again, or whatever. And those are all features. But as the client or as the buyer or the customer, you actually want the value. Is it pre or pri? I think pre. What is value again? So value is like, if you look at a pyramid, features is at the top level, like what you actually get. Benefits are how it benefits you, I guess. It's a bit hard to explain there. And pre, okay, awesome. And value to me is the actual transformation, right? It's like, I want to buy, I don't know, shoes. I see these shoes. Features, they're black and they have a heel. Cool. Benefits, they're comfortable, right? That's a benefit. Value, I'm going to feel like a rock star walking in these shoes confidently, right? You're just trying to go deeper. One way I like looking at that is asking you the question So the micro launch method has weekly coaching calls with Maggie so that you have accountability, so that you can confidently use this method to launch your offer, get visible, and make $3,000 in the next month, right? So you're kind of going deeper and deeper. And I love this question. Paint the picture, right? Because a lot of people go, oh, I'm a copywriter and the outcome for my clients is that they'll have copy. I'm like, okay, we know that, but what's below that? What could be different? If they had copy that represented their authority and who they are and their personality and built this amazing trust relationship with their readers and clients, how could their lives be different, right? I think that's something that a lot of people miss, like paint the picture of what could be different before working with you or buying your offer and after working with you. Like, what are the possibilities here? Heidi, I don't know if you're on live. I know you're hopping in and out today because you're doing your own training. So Heidi is a LinkedIn trainer and business coach. She made 4 figures with 4 days of light marketing. And then she's reused this method, the micro launch method, over and over again. So you can see she's made quite a bit with her other micro launches. Oh, awesome. Heidi is here live. Feel free to ask Heidi questions. She is also one of my head unicorns. So I'll talk about that more in a second. Now, why I talk about Heidi is because she was so clear on the outcome she offered, right? When she did her first micro launch, she did it on the LinkedIn Visibility Challenge, right? So it's so clear, right? What's the outcome? I get visible on LinkedIn. With something like that, it's then so easy for people to self-select, especially in the industry we're in, where LinkedIn is for like a specific, almost niche of online-based entrepreneurs. A lot of the people who are comfortable on Facebook are not comfortable on LinkedIn, and vice versa. So for her to have this outcome was very, very smart because it's so clear, right? And she did it, kicked ass with her challenge as well. All right, so we had core concept 1, having a really clear client. Core concept 2, having a really clear outcome. And core concept 3, creating a buying decision. So this is the underlying issue of having services always on your website, right? One, like with business coaching or copywriting, I think a lot of people try and like cast the net too wide so your clients don't self-select because you're like, oh, I write website copy for your website. Okay, but that's the feature I need, but I'm not able to self-select with your offer. The outcome isn't, you don't go deep enough with the outcome, especially I think for coaching. For any coaches, consultants, I think that's tricky because you can have a lot of outcomes. Like even with what I do with strategy, with business coaching, marketing strategy, there are so many potential outcomes, but you do have to get a lot more specific. And lastly, you've not really helped create a buying decision or an environment that's ready for buying decision. So most people need an incentive to make a decision. If you want me to buy something, I need a deadline. It doesn't matter like what the thing is. I need deadlines or I'm not going to buy it, even if I really want it. I'll just forget, I get distracted. Anyone else like that? Like who really, really needs deadlines? Because there's some people who like see the thing, go, cool, I'm in, I need that. They buy it immediately. I'm like, no, give me deadlines. So what do you need an incentive to make a decision? There's 2 ways to make these incentives. One, using urgency. Urgency basically means using deadlines. 2, scarcity, using a limited quantity. Now, the caveat I always say is use urgency and scarcity with grace and integrity, right? This is not about digging into pain points. It's not about fear mongering. It's not about like, I'm not saying, oh my God, guys, if you don't buy the micro launch method, 2020 will be miserable for you or whatever. No, it's just, hey, here's an offer, here's an opportunity. And I'm adding bonuses, I'm adding different things to help incentivize you to make a buying decision, a yes or a no, right? What we want to create here is I want you to get to a yes or to a no. I don't want you to sit on the fence and go, oh yeah, sounds good. I'll have to think about it. Maybe, meh. That means I haven't done my job right. Does that make sense? So urgency, having certain deadlines, and scarcity, having a limited quantity. I'm actually going to give you examples in the next section of both of these and how they can apply to services. Also, you can see my example because I'm doing a launch today. Haha, you're here. And I'm going to show you what I'm doing to create urgency and scarcity with grace and integrity. So Nicola did this really, really well. She had an amazing first micro launch. She used it over. I forgot to change the copy on this slide. Okay, so Nicola is a fat fertility coach. She ran a challenge during her micro launch where she ended up getting, so ignore the slide, she ended up getting over 100 paying customers for that micro launch, which was amazing. She turned what was supposed to be a free challenge into a paid challenge and absolutely kicked butt. It also gave her so much more confidence in selling more because that was something she had struggled with. So I'm super excited about Nicola. There we go. Okay, fine. Slide is there. I forgot to delete the previous one. So she converted over 100 new customers, and that was before she did the upsell. That was before she did the upsell. Yes, Nicola, I love her, and I'm just so excited that she did that. And that's something that she had run that previously for free, and just by adding a little bit of an incentive, she suddenly had 100 paying customers, right? And honestly, if someone gives you money once, it's a lot easier for them to give you money again because you have built, hopefully you have built trust with the first offer, right? Obviously, if they pay you and your thing sucks, they're never going to pay you again. But if they pay you and assuming your thing delivers the way it should, then it's a lot easier for them to pay you again because you've overcome that first hurdle. So this is a really, really big deal what Nicola did. And I'm just so proud of her and of them all. So to summarize core micro launch concepts, having an ultra specific client, having an ultra specific outcome, and create an environment for buying decision. I'm going to pause for a second in case you want to screenshot this. But these are the core concepts I apply to anything. And very honestly, if I have a launch that either flops or just doesn't do as well as I was expecting it to, it pretty much always comes down to one of these three things not being in place. My messaging was off because I wasn't focused on the right client. My messaging was off, or my marketing was off because I wasn't focused on the right outcome. Like for this webinar, like the training topic, I had to change it because I realized number two, the specific outcome wasn't connecting with my ideal client. So I noticed that, had to figure out what the thing was, changed it, right? And you move on, and we're here. Does that make sense? Great. Okay, so we're now moving on to part two of the training, where we'll be talking about 3 ways of micro launching your services. So number 1, creating a new service. Very straightforward for the first one. Again, having a very, very clear outcome, making sure your messaging, positioning, and marketing matches your client's desire, right? So like I said, that's the example here where I was talking about pop-up offers, and a lot of people in my audience didn't really know what that meant. So there were a lot more questions coming up. That was the thing. That was the issue. So you have to make sure this is aligned, messaging, positioning, and marketing that matches your client's desire. What do they want, right? What are they saying they want? I see this a lot with people, actually, so for example, a lot of people come to me and they say, Maggie, how do I get more clients? Oh no, Maggie, I want to launch a course, right? I want to move towards hands-off revenue. I want to move towards recurring revenue. I want to launch a course. And I look at their stuff. I'm like, well, you're not booked out. You don't have a big pool of clients. You don't have an email list. You don't have an audience. I don't think, actually, I would recommend not doing a course yet, but let's first focus on your messaging to build your audience, micro launch a couple of one-on-one services, and move towards building that audience. You can micro launch your first course, right? But they're coming to me for one thing. That's, if I want to market to them, that's the thing I have to market to, right? Then I would write a blog post or do a podcast episode on saying, hey, want to launch your first course? Here's your checklist of all these things you should have in place. If you don't have them in place, here's the next step. Does that make sense? Would you say micro launching is similar to beta launches? Yes and no. So the micro launch method is my trademarked methodology and framework. So I have this process that I follow. I have a step-by-step plan that I give you, and it's about creating, marketing, and selling an offer. You can use that framework for a beta launch if you want to. You can also use it for something you've done a million times before, but you just want to sell more of it and do it better with a clear process. And that is a good question. I'm personally not the biggest fan of the term beta launch because I feel it can devalue the perception of your offer, right? If you're here, like, you probably have a lot of experience, you probably have clients. Just because you haven't yet, repackaged your skills into that particular format doesn't mean that it's worth anything less. So that's just my personal approach when it comes to the term beta. But yeah. Cool. And obviously urgency and scarcity with grace and integrity. I'm going to give you some examples now. Right. So we have on the left, we've got the four things we covered already, right? Clear client, clear outcome, urgency, and scarcity. Urgency is a limited time. Scarcity is limited availability, right? So you can do a pop-up offer by creating a new service. It's a limited time, usually limited availability offer. So I've got 2 examples here. Mariana, who I mentioned earlier, she did a micro launch for a workshop she called the Hone It Workshop, which was specifically for service providers to refine their framework. Right. That was an offer. It was happening a certain time, certain day. there's a certain, lack of availability. So that was a really, really good way of creating a pop-up offer, right? Another one is a service I did a while back. I called it a Hell Yes Profit Plan. It was a 2-hour intensive, where strategy intensive. So we were on Zoom for 2 hours and we created your Hell Yes Profit Plan. We looked at your offers, we looked at your pricing, and we looked at your launches or your sales plan to figure out how can you get to your ideal profit goal, right? I'm not that interested in revenue. I'm interested in your profit. How can we get to your Hell Yes profit goal to make sure you can pay yourself more, right? So both of these were limited time offer, limited availability. I only did, I think, 3 of those or 2 of those. And that was just for a certain period. Same thing for Marina's workshop, and there's a lot more you can do with that, right? So this is the first stage, pop-up offer. I think I've got another, My recommended sales strategy for this is doing a 5 to 10 day micro launch to do a pop-up offer. You can go longer, but this is kind of what I like to do. I have my content flow framework that I teach and that I follow. I'm following that for this launch as well. And that's what I like to do for pop-up offers, 5 to 10 days. And the beautiful thing is, like, if it doesn't work, you try it again with a different offer or a different name. You figure it out, what worked, what didn't, and you redo it. So Heba is one of my masterminders. She's a dashboard and data expert. She did a pop-up offer. She does dashboards, and she did an Instagram engagement pop-up offer product, right? So she's a service provider who's moving towards hands-off income. She wants more offers that don't require her with clients. So by creating it as a pop-up offer using the micro launch method, she sold all 20 available items in 5 days with a small audience, right? So that was fantastic of creating a pop-up offer. Like I said, you can also do it as a service. I do it as a service pretty regularly. And it's all about, like, the 4 core concepts: clear client, clear outcome, urgency, and scarcity. This does not mean giving a discount, right? I'm not saying discount your time. I do not believe in discounting your time, right? But it's about, like, repackaging a certain offer or creating a new offer as a pop-up using these 4 core principles: clear client, clear outcome, urgency, and scarcity. All right, micro launch your services. Number 2, branding an existing service, right? So again, we have these 4 core concepts: clear client, clear outcome, urgency, and scarcity. But this is, like, going back to what I was talking about at the beginning of, you have services that are always available and I'm able to always buy them on your website. You're giving up control. So instead of something that's very general without an outcome, VIP intensive strategy session coaching, I think these are, like, the biggest, I'm losing a word. Culprits, right? Biggest culprits of this. So for example, like, refine, a service to refine your offer. It's kind of what I did with the Hell Yes Profit Plan. Yes, it was a pop-up, but it was also rebranding basically a half-day VIP intensive to have a really, really clear, specific outcome for a clear, specific client. Does that make sense? I think it's, like, one of the easiest things to do for service providers, because what do we do? We sell our time, right? We sell our time. And it doesn't matter if you do, like, coaching consulting, which is, like, you talking with a client, or if you do done for you work like copywriting or web design, you're still selling your time, and you can actually brand existing services to focus on having clear client and clear outcome. So some of my examples here: you could do a service called Refine Your Offer. You could do something about Build Your Group Program. That's something that Mariana, who I've mentioned earlier, is working on. Create your content map. I think I did that, like, a couple of years ago. I had a pop-up offer on creating a content map or plan. And I had someone in the micro launch method course who had a service about healing concussions, right? If you have a concussion, you're struggling. She had a service about healing your concussion. Super specific, right? Alex, yes, it does make sense. I rebrand my branding website, added coaching based on my methodology, call it brand elevation. Amazing. Amazing. Yeah. So branding an existing service. Number 3, adding bonuses, right? I told you we would talk about this, but I also told you I'm not a fan of discounting services. I'm not a fan of discounting your time. I feel a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of service providers feel like, oh, I need more clients, therefore I'm going to offer this amazing discount. This also includes like adding a shit ton of like extra time with you, right? If people aren't buying your 6 sessions for $1,000, they're not going to buy your 12 sessions for $1,000. Like that's not the issue here. And that's basically discounting your time. So again, clear client, clear outcome, urgency, scarcity. Yes? Say it with me. Clear client, clear outcome, urgency, and scarcity. So you can add bonuses, add extras to something you already have for a limited time or for a limited number of people or spots, right? So for example, if you have an evergreen product, you can do a live round, right? You can add an extra something, a workshop, a PDF, templates. I know a lot of us like to create. I'm sure you have a ton of drafts sitting on your Google Drive, a ton of like old lead magnets you haven't used or you haven't even finished. Like put something together, throw something together and add that as bonuses. And you can still add, you can still create this micro launch using this. And bonus one-on-one access or support. I think that's cool if you have like an extra strategy call. I like doing that too. But like I said, it's not like, you know, you do 6 calls for one price and suddenly you're doing 12 calls for one price. That's not really the direction I'm talking about here. Make sense? I see on product is a writing workshop. I would add a bonus for me reading the outcome, providing feedback. Amazing. Yes, that's stuff like that is perfect. That will be limited time. If your product is a writing workshop, you already have, I'm assuming if you're running it live, you already have natural urgency and scarcity also, which is like absolutely perfect for the micro launch method because that's what I walk you through that entire process. So yeah, that's a really great bonus to add. Cool. I'm going to pause for a second. If you need to screenshot this, because this is some like just idea suggestions. Honestly, you can do whatever the hell you want for bonuses, whatever feels good. Less tends to be more, right? Like Icy's example, adding a bonus of reading their outcome and providing feedback. Awesome. I did it once with a client. I said like for, you know, I would do a Loom video of myself giving them feedback on their website, right? Stuff like that works really, really well. And like, it takes me what, 10, 15 minutes, but it gives a huge amount of value to the client. And test it, tweak it, try again. Like I have that on my slide. I have that here on my mug. If it doesn't work the first time, you can do this micro launch again and test it out again, right? Like I have had so many things that have flopped. That's just gonna happen. You will have flops, but as long as you learn from them and you figure out, okay, cool, what's the next one? Cool, that didn't work. Why did it not work? How can I fix this? Run it again. This is why I'm such a huge fan of the micro launch method, because it's so constructed for this process. Not putting in 6 months to do this like one epic launch and spending literally 3 months. I had a client spend like 6 months building a course that didn't end up selling. This is the opposite of that. We want to help you, or I want to help you make that money, then go, cool, I have proof of concept. It works. People are buying. Now I'm going to go in and do more, right? So I haven't changed the trademark yet because the registration just came in, but I'm going to introduce you now to the micro launch method. I'm still going to be teaching you through this, but I want to tell you a bit more about my program and how there's certain things in here that can also help you create, market, and sell your offer. Cool. First of all, it's a container for accountability, implementation, and success. I have ADD. I'm very creative. I have a lot of ideas. I get a lot of self-doubt, right? As I start working on a plan, I have this moment of panic of like, oh my God, what if it doesn't work? What if this, is that wrong? Is that wrong? So everything, how I've built the micro launch method is to help people like that, right? People who are passionate, who are excited, but who may need like a little bit more of a structure to actually get things done. So this is basically a 4-week, it's a course and a 4-week accountability and implementation container, right? What does it do? It helps you sell your offer. Like it's that simple. I want you to make money with this. The goal is that you sell your offer. We have this framework. I'm going to talk about the modules in a second and like the roadmap that we follow. That's going to be helpful for anyone here as well. And we have weekly coaching and templates. So here's the 3 parts of the micro launch method. Module 1, planning your micro launch, right? A micro launch is not necessary. To me, it's a stepping stone. You can use it to test things out. You can use it as a stepping stone towards building up towards a bigger launch. That's what I like to do as I test offers, figure out what sells, what doesn't. Then I do it again and again with this same framework, right? Even now, my launches are getting better, bigger and better actually, but they're still using the same core framework, the same 4 steps that I teach here, right? 2 is marketing your micro launch. So we first plan out, what is the offer? Who is it for? What's your pricing? What's your urgency? What's your scarcity? What's the timeline? I have templates for all of this. Number 2, marketing your micro launch, right? What do you actually say? Like I have a content flow framework. I'm going to show you an example in a second. But what do you actually say during this launch period? What does your content look like? How do you sell this? And 3 is selling your micro launch. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. It's about getting to the yes. How do you sell your offer in a way that feels good? So one thing I'm really big on is no cookie cutter plans. The micro launch method to me is a framework. It's a step-by-step plan. It's a framework. And once you understand it and you understand how it works and why things work in a certain way, I want you to go crazy and make it your own, right? I'm very big on that. That's why people have used it to sell small digital offers as well as VIP intensives. They've used it over and over and over again. And you can figure out, like, once you have the framework and you go like, okay, cool, I know and I understand how this works, then you can play around within it, which I think is one of the most powerful things, because it's not a day 1, do this, day 2, do this, because each person, each business, each offer is so different. I think giving you a cookie cutter plan would harm you more than help you. So for me, I want to give you the framework, give you the tools, and you go out and kick ass. So we start with the pre-work. It's about laying the foundation. This is the module you get access to before we get started. The live program goes live on November 2nd. So the whole month of November, we are in this together, launching and selling stuff, right? So we have the 6 essential phases of a micro launch and what goes into each of them. Someone actually said that just that one part was worth the cost of the entire program. 2, what makes a micro launch great and the 2 key elements to bring in buyers. And 3, how to get people off the fence and take action on your offer without being pushy. Like we talked about here, urgency and scarcity with grace and integrity. I give you all the examples. And I not just give you the examples, like I said, I want to teach you how to think like a strategist so you can do this yourself, right? I want to build independence within you, right? I don't want you to become dependent on Maggie and I have to go buy all of Maggie's stuff because only she knows. No, I want to teach you how to think like this so you can just go and kick ass yourself, right? So here, I don't just give you examples of bonuses and how to add urgency and scarcity, but I also teach you how to figure out what could work for your audience. I help you figure out how to make those decisions yourself, right? Do you see how that's like, do you see what I mean? Like how that's more helpful than just giving you like this giant list of all the possibilities. So really, this is something that I've used the micro launch method myself to sell out international retreats, services, VIP intensives. I use this methodology to sell out a mastermind using a Google Doc I wrote in 20 minutes. And it's all the same thing that I'm using, right? So that was the pre-work. Module 1 is the planning stage. It's my personal process to keep your micro launch micro, right? A lot of people hear the word launch and they want to do all the things. So it's really important for me that we keep it small, or we keep it as small as you want, so you're confident in the process. This is not like a path to burnout. We want to help you. It's basically what's the quickest, easiest way for you to be able to sell your offer and hit your revenue goal for this micro launch, right? We create a great foundation for your micro launch with an irresistible offer, because if your offer is off, it's not going to sell. If your ideal client is off, it's not going to sell. If your messaging is off, it's not going to sell. So that's something why I have this module in here, because I really want to teach you all of these things. And don't worry, like we don't have any ideal client day avatar exercises in here. 3, how to frame your messaging and copy to grab people's attention. And lastly, the nitty-gritty behind deciding your offer's pricing and what should be included. I know that's a big hang up for a lot of people. I'm actually considering doing a bonus workshop just on pricing your offer, especially if you're planning on micro launching it over and over again. How do you decide those prices? So if that's something that could be interesting for you, let me know in the chat. But even if I don't do the workshop, or even if I do it, this is still covered in the first module, the micro launch method. Module 2 is about marketing your micro launch. How do you build buzz and excitement around the offer before you launch it? This is a module that most people found people found one of the most valuable things, because it's all about how do you not launch to crickets? How do you build a buzz? How do you prime your people? And how do you put this together so that people are ready when your cart opens, when you have your sales page, or when you have your PayPal button, whatever that looks like. How can you build awareness in people's heads? Know what to say, where to say it, and when to say it to market your micro launch, and how to talk about your offer in compelling, totally sleazy-free ways. Module 3, this is the last module, selling your micro launch. Getting to the yes, like what is the number one sales mistake that online entrepreneurs make when launching? How to motivate people to invest while staying in integrity, staying visible and relevant throughout your launch. I know that's something a lot of people struggle with. I have in the past as well. So it's really looking at how can you, how long should this be? What do you say? What's the process? And everything to know about bonuses and pricing strategies to incentivize action. So very importantly here, it's not just a course. It is a course, but it's also not just a course. It's more of a framework. It's a framework for you to play around and customize and make your own. Like from my students in the first round, they have used this methodology over and over and over again. Like I am getting messages pretty much at least once a week from people saying, hey, I'm micro launching this. I've got a plan, or I just got this successful thing from the micro launch method. So it's much more built as a step-by-step plan to use, but then customize and make your own. So I want to give you that framework that you know how to market your offer, how to sell your offer, and do it really quickly. So here's how we set you up for success. We are doing weekly live coaching calls. This is a 4-week implementation incubator. Every single week, we're going to have a live coaching call with the group, right? What we're going to do is people are going to pre-submit questions for hot seats, which means I'm going to pick people to go live on that call with me to talk about their micro launch and their offer, right? So you have a lot of access, if you want it, to getting support yourself if you're picked, or hearing what other people are doing. And that's something I've always found really valuable. When I'm doing something, I listen to other people doing the same thing. There's a lot of accountability and a lot of support you're going to get here with the weekly live coaching calls. 2, choose your own adventure. We have a roadmap to follow, right? Building the foundation, planning your micro launch, marketing your micro launch, and selling your micro launch. This is basically built for 2 types of personalities. Some people like to look at the thing, do all the content. Like there were plenty of people the last time who watched all of the content in the first day. So the core content is just 2 hours to keep it super slick and actionable. And by Wednesday, they were already prepping their micro launches. There's other people who prefer something that's a bit slower and a bit more structured. So for them, we have this micro launch roadmap, and the Q&A calls will be themed each week based on that roadmap. So if you want more structure, more accountability and support, you have that. If you just want to dive in and then like ask for help in the Facebook group or the coaching calls, that's an option too. And I'm so excited about this. We have 2 hand-picked micro launch unicorns. So we've got Heidi Medina, LinkedIn trainer and coach, and she was here live in chat earlier, and Mariana Pena, who is an instructional designer, who's actually the instructional designer behind the micro launch method. She's done an amazing job. They're going to be my micro launch unicorns. So their they're past students. They've both used this methodology multiple times each to sell their services, group offers, and products. And they're going to be there to give you extra support. So it's not just me. You get people who fully understand the same methodology who are going to help you out in the group as well. Okay. Then we have bonuses. See, I told you I'm going to talk about scarcity and urgency with grace and integrity. These are some of the bonuses I'm super excited about sharing with you. The first one is Gold Dust, a collection of Maggie's top launch tips. I have literally sat down and written out all of my top launch tips, right? Like an example is at the beginning of my webinar, I gave you all my sales page link, right? That's stuff like this that I've learned through trial and error and more error, but also through successes, just looking at what works, what doesn't. I've put that all together into a document that you will receive. So everything from how I breadcrumb my offer to how I construct a sales page to my email marketing, like everything I could think of, like, cool, that works for me or that doesn't work for me or works in general, I've put that into the document, right? So graphics, sales pages, webinars, planning your launch. People have said that this document is absolutely invaluable. I would like to think so, because this is the stuff you just don't get anywhere. This is not theory. This is like literally, here are the tips that I have tried that have worked for me. Yeah. So I'm very excited to be able to share this to more people because I think it's absolutely invaluable. Bonus 2 is my content flow framework. So the content flow framework is covered in the module around marketing, but you're also going to get a bonus of like the actual Trello board, like I use following this framework with all of my copy, with literally all the content I have created. With all the content I have created, and that's in a Trello board, and you can see it. So you can see actually, it's a like live example of how I use my own content flow framework. And that gives, I know this, a lot of my clients use this framework. They go back to this over and over again because it's not just theory, but it's like real tangible examples you can use. And bonus 3, the CEO Quest. What I'm going to do is, so the CEO Quest is a 21-day audio and email sequence to grow your CEO mindset, confidence, and action taking. So it's like little 1 minute, 2 minute audio clips and a little action step in an email. You get them every morning, and you're going to get them throughout the duration of the micro launch, the first 21 days, of course, since it's a 21-day sequence. But this is the product that started the micro launch method and made me realize after 3 years of using this methodology of like, oh, not everyone does this. I may be onto something. So it's the absolute perfect companion to the micro launch method, because where the micro launch method covers a lot of tactics. How do you market it? What content do you create? Here's prompts on creating your content. Here's tips on creating bonuses. We have the coaching calls and all that. It's quite tactical. This CEO Quest will help you in your mindset. Oh, ICCO Quest is so good. Thank you. I appreciate that. So yes, for anyone who signs up to the micro launch method, and as we start on November 2nd, you'll also get the first CEO Quest. It's just 1 minute. I like to kind of talk about like when you make your morning coffee, you just like listen to it for a minute, like sit there with your coffee, chill, go, okay, Maggie, cool. I'll think about that and go on with your day. So that's the perfect companion to the micro launch method. Couple of extras. So like I said, the micro launch method, the core content is less than 2 hours. It's really quick and easy to fly through. That was intentional. But if you want more, we do have extra bonuses within the program itself. We've got an extra training on creating an irresistible offer. We have a library of tech tutorials. So if the tech's getting you down, we have all of that. We've got a project management tutorial of Asana, how I use that to plan, launch unicorns training, which is one of my favorite things to talk about ever. So that's really, really cool. And of course, as mentioned, we've got Maggie's top launch tips. So how it's structured is that we have the core content of the micro launch method. Like here's the 4 modules you need to be able to launch this. But if you want extra, if you want more, if there's something that you're missing and you want to go deeper, we have these extra bonus modules in the course as well. So we have 2 hours of video trainings and a fillable framework, 4 weeks of support as a Facebook community, because like I said, this is basically not just a course, it's an implementation incubator. I want to help you make a lot of money. Like, this is my goal for everyone. I want you to use this and make at least $3,000, absolute minimum, using the micro launch method. We have weekly group coaching calls, right? Like I said, I'll be the live on camera. You can ask me questions, but I kind of want to use those to like dig into specific situations. Then we're also going to have a weekly Q&A, right? So that's going to be more for me answering quick questions. That's themed around the roadmap, depending on which week we're in. And the group coaching calls, like that's where the magic happens. If you've ever seen me in hot seats, if you've ever wondered what's it like to be in a mastermind with Maggie or to work with her one-on-one, well, you're going to get a taste of that in the micro launch method on the weekly group coaching calls. And of course, we have templates. So it's everything that you need to make it super simple to create, market, and sell your irresistible offer in under 4 weeks. I mean, you can literally do it in the first week. There's no reason you can't, especially if you do what I talked about, like a pop-up offer or rebrand an existing offer. You could literally like do 2 or 3 micro launches during this program. There's no reason you can't, right? It's a course, it's a framework. It's also an implementation container. And I think for anyone who's like bought courses before, it's great to have information, but I want to give you that support, that accountability. With something like, it's not really launching in this case, it's sales. Like the micro launch method is basically how do you create, market, and sell an offer quickly and easily in a way that works. The difficulty with a lot of courses is when you start actually implementing, you get stuck. I'm not sure if my price is correct. I don't know what my bonus should be. I don't know what the title of my training should be. Should I do a challenge or a webinar or nothing, right? How many launch emails do I send? Like all of that stuff. And that's why I wanted to have an implementation container and not have this just as a DIY course. So you can ask questions, get coaching, and get support, not just from me, not just from my 2 head micro launch unicorns, Heidi and Mariana, but also from your fellow micro launchers, right? When we did this live round in April, like the culture was amazing of people supporting each other, giving feedback, but also a lot of people bought from each other. That was really cool to see. All right, early bird offer is $750. That includes the complete online course, weekly group coaching calls, the roadmap for the launch, and the bonuses mentioned here, right? The live round starts November 2nd. And there is a 2-part payment plan available for this as well. So yes, like I said, that's the early bird offer. It's not just a course, it's also a framework and an implementation container. And the power of this is really, it's not just something you do once, but like you've seen also from my past students and clients, they have reused this methodology over and over and over again, right? That for me is the biggest ROI for this, not just you learning this information, getting confident in how to create, market, and sell offers yourself, using that implementation content, like, turn up for all the calls, like ask me questions, like get in the hot seat, take advantage of the support you can get here, but you can literally keep reusing this, right? So one of my favorite things to do is to stack micro launches, because when you do a micro launch or when you do any kind of a launch, whatever you want to call it, you get visibility. Even if your thing doesn't sell, or if it doesn't sell the way you want it to, you get visibility, you get momentum. So one of my favorite things to do is to stack micro launches, to take, 10 days to focus on a pop-up offer, then I pause, then take another 10 days to focus on another launch, and then I pause again, because you're building up momentum with every single time you do a micro launch. You get more confident, you test out your offer, you make more sales, you get more visible. Like so many people bought the last time, joined the micro launch method because they saw my previous micro launch on the CEO Quest and they didn't buy and they were kicking themselves for it. Like someone actually said that to me. She bought the micro launch method immediately when it became available because she was kicking herself for not jumping on my previous offer. So stack your micro launches. All right, let's do some math. 5 new clients for a pop-up service that you sell for $500 is $2,500. You sell your group program for $350, which is not a lot at all. It's $3,500, right? Maybe you've got a bit of a bigger audience. Like, cool, I finally want to do my first course. Let's test it out for $200, $5,000 is 25 signups, right? This is pure math. So for me, there is such a, not for me, for like anyone who's done the micro launch and actually launched an offer, there's been such a strong financial ROI, return on investment, because the micro launch method is all about helping you sell your offer, as in make money. Does that make sense? It is about giving you confidence. It is about giving you templates. It is about teaching you how to think strategically and how to figure out how to market your offer and how to do that. But at the end of the day, it's very much on, cool, how you want to make $5,000 next month? Cool. How can we do that? How can we make that happen? So I do want to emphasize that, because that's just so important. It's not about fluffy tactics or like messaging or like, it's not about fluff. It's about math, and it's about helping you pay yourself more. That's why I'm so passionate about this. So Carolina's an event planner. She's actually my event planner for my Powerhouse retreats. She made $5,000 not during her micro launch, but during her micro launch testing process, because her ideal client and her ideal outcome was so clear. When she started testing, someone went, oh, I want that, but can you do it for me? And she's like, okay, I'll do it for 5,000. And they went, okay. She made $5,000 during her micro launch testing process. How amazing is that? Gulce is a coach for architects. She made 10 sales by day 4 of her micro launch. She didn't just make 10 sales, but she was also invited on a podcast and got the confidence to start using Facebook ads. Right? You saw that with Nicola earlier. She got more confidence to sell more. So that's something that once you start putting yourself out there more in a way that feels good and stable and safe for you, but you are still pushing yourself, magic can happen. Caitlin is an amazing yoga teacher and chef and nutritionist. I love her. She's just so sweet. She sold 3 spots to a pool of 55 people, which is a crazy, crazy high conversion rate, right? And she was invited to set up a paid offer with a partner, so using someone else's audience. So within the first couple of weeks, like within the micro launch itself, she had recorded her first videos and meditations, which she had never done before. That was something she'd always wanted to do, but had never done before. She grew her audience organically, and she found new ways to better serve her community. She's one of the people who like comes to me once a month, at least once a month, to give me updates on her micro launching and how that's going. So that shows you, like, yes, it's about revenue and about making more revenue, but there's so much else you can get out of this. And for something like this, because you have this group of accountability, you have me as your coach there. For a lot of people, Gulce did her first Facebook ads. Caitlin did her first recorded meditation and sold it. That's all amazing stuff that people get done. All right. Fast action bonus for the first 5 people to join. You get a one-on-one bonus strategy session with me. We sit down, we can use this during your micro launch. So you could literally, during the micro launch method program, have a strategy call with me about anything you want, right? We can talk about your pricing. You can send me your micro launch plan and I'll look over it and give you feedback, right? We can look at your bonuses. We can look at your messaging and tweak whatever needs to be tweaked. But the first 5 to join get a bonus one-on-one call with me to focus on their strategy during the micro launch method. So if you want more, or if you want to sign up, make sure you go to maggiel.com/microlaunch. The cart is open and the early bird offer is now available and closing soon. So yes, go there, have a look. And if you have any questions, I am here, and I'm going to have a look now if we what questions we have for hot seats and for talking about your offer. Okay, cool. Awesome. So if you do have a question, then pop them into the question box of Zoom. So not in the chat, but in the question Q&A box. I see, literally just signed up. Amazing. So I guess that's 4 bonus one-on-one calls to go. Amazing. Yes, I got the email. You are in here. So no longer 5 bonus calls available for strategy, but 4. I see. I'm super excited to have a chat with you. All right. If you have questions about the micro launch method, if you have questions about anything we talked about on this training so far, pop them in here. My goal with this is to do some hot seats, some coaching live here. So now's your chance to grab that. And yay, I'm celebrating my first micro launch unicorn of this round. I'm excited to go micro launching with you, Icy. Sorry, I'm like at the bottom of my tea and I just got like a glob of honey into the back of my throat. I'm gonna switch to water now. All right, hey, questions? Anything I can help you with here? Great. Anne, thank you. Oh, Anne, didn't realize you were here. Awesome. You seem very welcome. All right, I'm going to give it a second or two. But yes, so with the micro launch method, like I said, that's something I've used. I've been using that actually for the last probably 3 years. I always thought it was because I was lazy and just didn't feel like doing a bigger launch, or didn't feel like, I just want things to be quick, quick and easy. How can I do things quickly and easily so I can move on to the next thing? And I've been using that for the last 3 years or so. When COVID-19 hit, it hit the day. So Italy went into lockdown the day I was supposed to start promoting my Portugal retreat, the Get Shit Done adventure. So I was like, so my next planned out quarter is not going to be happening since I was planning on selling a live event, which now is clearly not going to happen. Crap, what can I do? So I micro launched the CEO Quest. I put that together very quickly. And that made me, I think, how much am I making? $1,500 in the first, and just in the weekend, which was amazing and interesting. Oh, I forgot to mention, if you are an alumni, if you have done the micro launch method in the previous round, you want to check your email now. Trust me. I forgot to mention that. So yes. I did a micro launch on the CEO Quest. I made $1,500 in that weekend. I was like, oh, that wasn't bad. Like, okay, cool. But then through residual results, through people seeing that launch and hiring me further, or seeing that launch and buying something else from me, I realized that weekend of marketing had made me $5,500. And I was like, oh, that's not bad at all. So that's when I realized, well, I have a method. I have a methodology. I know what works, what doesn't. I've been doing this for 3 years. Okay, clearly clearly this isn't normal. Clearly not everyone knows how to do this, and people want to know how to do this. So that's when I put it together into the program. Angelique, what was your biggest micro launch mistake? Not adding urgency and scarcity. Yeah, like that's definitely been the biggest one. And people need deadlines. People need deadlines. I've had a mastermind launch completely flop because they didn't have any of that. Right? I mean, when you put it out there and you don't have a kind of container for it, like a timeline or a container or things to incentivize people, it's much more difficult for them to make a decision, right? Like today, like there's a reason I'm saying, hey, first 5 people, actually not first 4 people to sign up will get a bonus strategy one-on-one call with me, which I basically don't do anymore. I don't do one-off strategy sessions. It helps you make a decision. Obviously, like I love working with clients. I love strategy. So for me, it's like, it's quite fun. But yeah, that's been the big thing. Angelique, thanks for the question. I think also in the past, like getting the messaging wrong has been a big one. but that comes with experience, and that's just something you have to be aware of. So that's something I've built into the program of like really teaching you how to do that, how to figure that out for yourself, how to know what to do when it does, what to do and how to do it. But it's still something you need to just be really aware of. It's a mistake I made over the weekend, but I caught it and realized, oh, people are not responding to the Trump pop-up offer. How can I shift the messaging of this webinar to make it more aligned to what they want? I see they made it super easy for me to make a decision. Yeah, right. And maybe you would have bought this anyway, but maybe you would have bought this like in a week, right? But I don't want you to buy it in a week. I want you to buy it now. Also, so I know is this working, is this not, right? So yeah, biggest launch mistake would be not having urgency and scarcity, or not having the right kind of bonuses or decision-making incentives in place. I have another question here from Anne. Anne, I have a new ICA infertile men, trying to get them on Instagram. Any other ideas to reach them? I feel I need a bigger audience before even a micro launch. Interesting. I feel like Reddit would be an option, right? That's so fertility is quite tricky. Because you can't run Facebook ads to it. Like there's a lot of hurdles to jump through to be able to run Facebook ads to anything that's related to that. Instagram could potentially be a good one, but I would do research on where they actually hang out, and referrals might be your best bet here. Right? Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. I think you could still do it on Instagram, but I'm not totally sure about the percentage of men to women on Instagram. So that would be something I would look at if they're actually there. And if they're getting information from Instagram, because I would also consider looking at SEO and blogging or YouTube, right? YouTube to share this information. Just some thoughts, right? I think you can always do a micro launch if you have like a client base. So I talk about like having an audience, but you know, if you've been working with one-on-one clients for the last year or two and you have a client base, you can just also use that for a micro launch, right? Pavan, I do diet and health, and Facebook always blocks my ads. Any thoughts how to get around that? It's very, very tricky. I think especially now with elections, it's even more tricky. I think I would look at something that's a bit more general, that's not, doesn't use the word diet, doesn't use weight loss, anything that's like health related, but I would maybe like planning your weekly meals for more energy, right? Something that's a bit more general, a bit more benefit focused. That would be the direction I would go for. But honestly, with Facebook ads, it's going to be testing. Lorna, I've listened to all of this and loved it. Plus, I got my potential signature product trademark too in the summer. That's amazing. But I'm struggling with energy, not feeling the buzz. I need to take things further because it's been a tough year. I'm feeling that maybe in 2021, I'll get my mojo back. Or that if I start any new thing just now, I'm able to rely on the energy to see it through. So I'm sticking to a limited number of editorial clients in the meantime. Lorna, is that a question, or would you just like me to comment on that? Or do you just want my thoughts on that? Let me know. I can help you. With energy, like I struggle a lot with energy. I have a chronic illness. I've actually had a really bad flare up in the last couple of weeks. For example, like I wasn't able to start promoting this training the way I would have liked to in an ideal scenario because I was just in bed with a blanket watching Grey's Anatomy and just couldn't really function. Shit happens. So energy is a big one, but like with the micro launch method specifically, that's why I've been talking about it being a framework, because if I have low, like when I did my mastermind launch in May, my energy was quite low. So I thought, how can I make this in a super simple micro launch? I still use the same methodology. I still use my steps, but I wrote a Google Doc in 20 minutes, very clear, very specific. I added urgency and scarcity. I used my micro launch framework, and I spent 20 minutes on a Google Doc, and I sold out the mastermind. Right? This does not have to be high energy. This does not have to take a long time. Right? I'm a very, very big fan of looking at your energy levels, your current situation, your timeline, and applying those micro launch method principles to your situation. You don't have to do a webinar. You don't have to do a challenge. Like, I haven't done a 5-day challenge in, I think, 3 years now. Right? There's nothing in there that you have to do. It's more about these strategic principles on how to successfully market and sell an offer in a simple, easy way, if that makes sense. Lorna, just your thoughts. Okay, so you just got those thoughts. Any other questions? If how do you feel about, after watching this training, about like how you can micro launch your services? I'd really like to hear that. Okay, it's done. That's done. Yes, Lorna, I'll think about possible offerings that don't take too much time to create. Like I said here, like, you can rebrand existing service. I literally said, okay, I'm gonna micro launch a half-day VIP intensive. I don't want to call it a half-day VIP intensive because that has that's not specific at all. I called the Hell Yes Profit Plan, but it's the same service. I changed up the questionnaires. I made it more specific. The questionnaire I made it more specific. That took me like 15 minutes. So this doesn't have to be a new offer. It doesn't have to be a program or a course. And like I've mentioned here in these examples, I find that service providers, it's such amazing low-hanging fruit, because it's all about how can you repackage your time to hit the micro launch method principles so it makes sense to your clients, so they can self-select, so they can make a buying decision. And how can you launch that? How can you sell that? Christy, you are reviewing an offer that I have now. Awesome. That's exciting. Cool. I'll give you guys like 2 more minutes. If there are any more questions, then I'll do that now. Yes, and it says great webinar. Thank you. Still trying to think of how I can offer something micro at the moment. So I don't think it's about having a micro offer. The micro launch method is about how you sell it. It's about the process of marketing and selling it. So it's not, so that process feels micro to you, whatever that looks like. So it doesn't have to be the offer being micro. You can use it to sell, like I've used it to sell a $37 product. I've also used these same principles to sell a $4,000 international retreat. Same principles, right? So yeah, I hope that makes more sense. And it's really just about having an offer that touches on these things. Like I said, it's a bonus module within the micro launch method. If you're not totally clear on the offer you would want to micro launch, then I got you, because we have that covered. And it's, the offer does need to be right. And it's all about testing that messaging. And that's something I teach you in the micro launch method process, of looking at how can you actually, before you create your offer, if you're like looking to create something that's like a course or a program that requires more creation time up front, then we walk through how do you validate your offer? How do you breadcrumb it and get proof that people are interested and willing to buy? That's the first phase, because people are not willing to buy. If they don't care about your offer, you're going to waste your time. So that's something I have built into the program. Christy, this is great, Maggie. Thank you, Christy. I was attracted to the pop-up wording you used because I just replaced it in my mind with done for you offer, but this was so clear. Yeah. And you can absolutely use anything I've talked about and just use it to focus on done for you offer. So I'm glad that was clear. Pop-up offers just means that like kind of like whew, like a pop store, like it appears and then it's gone after a while, right? So that's the principle pop-up offer. You don't have to do that, but you can also do it as a done for you offer. But still, I would look at how can you I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. I told you ADD. So yeah, you can absolutely use it to a done for you offer. You can use it for a course or program, anything. So yes, Angelique, have you found that this is the best time or season to do a micro launch? Not really. I've done them whenever. So the live round is going to be in November because I feel that's also a really good month to do that. For anyone worried about the US elections, during that time, we'll be doing the prep work. So then once things kind of like are calming down, you'll be going out and selling your offers and getting that support from me. No, honestly, like there's never going to be a good season. There's always something. So I would much rather you just do it and test it out and then, take the next step. There's always going to be someone who can't sign up for timing. I've done that with my live events where, yeah, people just like, oh, it's in August, therefore I can't. And then someone, oh, that's the week I'm on holiday and therefore I can't. So there's always something for someone. So my advice would be just bloody do it. Just do it, try it out, put yourself out there, have that confidence to actually do the micro launch, and then do a launch debrief. So you look at what worked, what didn't, how can I improve for next time? And you use that data to improve and make it easier and better and get better results the next time you do that process. Does this make sense? Also, have you found it more difficult to do this, make a sale in 2020 because so many have lost jobs and or cut budgets? No, I have not. I have not found it more difficult. I sold this during the pandemic, and all of my micro launch students, we had the live round, I think in April or May, which was like quite early on with the pandemic. So there was a huge amount of uncertainty in the air, but no, like it wasn't. So many of my students have, made 4 figures with the micro launch method during that time, right? And they've used it again and again and again to sell more. I think if you're using, I would say I don't know, I guess it depends. At this point, I hear more about fear and uncertainty than I actually see proof, right? So I kind of feel like, well, I mean, partially, I don't want to blame this on mindset, but I'm going to blame it partially on mindset. I think partially it can be a mindset thing because if you're reading the news and you're like, oh my God, recession and uncertainty and budget cuts and jobs cut, you're going to get into this mindset of, oh my God, I can't sell my thing, right? But people spend money on everything all the time. So if you can show, again, I teach this, if you can show what's the outcome of your offer, what's the transformation, if you can paint that picture, you create a buying environment. And as long as like your price points and the value and transformation links to what your ideal clients are able and willing to do, cool. Like, no, I'm not worried about that at all. I've absolutely not found it to I've absolutely not found it more difficult to do this or make sales in 2020. Yeah. Obviously, like if you're selling to, I don't know, if you're an event planner, that's a different story. But even with Caroline, the example I used here, who's my event planner, I still hired her for a retreat that's going to happen next year. She made $5,000. That was for a virtual event she was working on. So even within these industries that are heavily impacted by 2020, there's still a lot of ways to do this, and especially if you're working online. So yeah, I hope that helps, Angelique. But that was a really good question. Thank you for asking. Anything else? Anyone else? Okay, awesome. And I see someone did my workshop when it was free, used my formula to write a novel, and now they're querying it. That's amazing. That's amazing social proof. Like I think social proof is one of the most powerful things you can do, you can get. I always screenshot all of my social proof. So, and I have like in a file somewhere when I'm ready to use it. So I have quotes I can use, obviously with permission, but I just have that folder of social proof of people have done my stuff or work with me or used something that I've sold and gotten great results or said nice things. All right. So there are currently 4 bonus strategy calls left for the next 4 people who sign up for the micro launch method. It is a framework, it is a course you can reuse, and it is an implementation incubator with weekly group coaching. We start November 2nd. That's when the live round starts. And what I found really valuable in the past rounds is that a lot of people have supported each other and made a lot of friends in the program. And that's something that's really important to me, that the relationships built and that accountability and that trust with each other. And yeah, like this is my methodology, registered trademark as of Friday. And it's what I've used to sell and sell out live events, one-on-one services, masterminds, programs, courses, and down to 37 digital products. So any questions about the micro launch method or the program itself? If there's anyone who is feeling like, oh, it sounds interesting, but I'm not quite sure if it's right for me, feel free to pop me a message. You go to my website. If you go to maggiegill.com/microlaunch, I'm going to show you guys here in the chat. There's a little chat box there. So I have that open on my computer. You can literally send me a private message over there on the sales page or on my website if you have any questions about the micro launch method. All right. Thank you all so much for being here. Really appreciate you. And if you have any questions, let me know. And I'm excited to see you in a week, 2 weeks inside the micro launch method so we can create, market, and sell an irresistible offer and help you make a lot more money with in a way that feels really fun and easy. Because like I said, it's meant to be a framework. It's meant to, like, you look at it and you go, I like that. That's not really going to work for me. Like, that's the whole idea. Like, give you like the framework and you make it your own. So for someone like who would not want to answer questions live, just because I do it doesn't mean you have to. So it's very much about how can you take this framework that's tried and tested, not just by me, to sell all these offers, to get all these opportunities, because it's not just been revenue based, it's been people getting on podcasts, on summits, getting more clients as well. And how can you make it your own so it's really aligned to your strengths and your personality? And that's something I think is really, really important. RuPaul, thank you. Appreciate you. Thanks for the unicorn too. All right. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm excited to see you in the program soon, and have a lovely rest of your day. Bye, everyone. Did I just get a hand raise? Cool. All right.